Okay, guys, welcome back to Elev8ed Gaming Podcast. This is episode 15. We have two very special guests today with us. You guys want to introduce yourselves, ladies?
Sure. I know some of you guys see me because you saw me yesterday, but I'm Mrs. DJ, as a lot of you guys call me, but I go by Claw. I am DJ's wife.
Hi, Claw.
Hey, how's it going?
I didn't know we were going to have to introduce ourselves. I thought you were going to introduce us.
Nope.
All right. Well, my name is Tiffany, or Furramily, and yeah, I'm Shane's wife, or explicit wife, whatever.
AKA explicit wife. I'm kidding.
It's true.
I like that. That should be your name.
So, thank you everybody for joining us today. So today we are going to discuss something that I think is really important. DJ and myself have tried to, we try and bring you a variety of content, but a few points we've talked about various things that we think is important for streamers to think about, whether you're new to streaming or you've been doing it for a while. Anyways, just to generate some good conversation, and that is streaming while you have a significant other. There's a lot of give and take in both of those relationships, and so we're going to discuss with the people who matter most in this case how that is, how it goes, and maybe you can take away some key points that will benefit you down the road, or maybe help you make some changes now, or keep you out of trouble. Any of those things, maybe all of those things.
It might even help you guys not make the mistakes we did, if there is any. So
where do you want to get started, DJ?
Well, I think I want to hear from the girls. What was your guys' first reaction when we first brought up our love for streaming and wanting to get into streaming? Whoever wants to go first, don't matter.
Yeah, I can go first. I mean, I don't really remember my first reaction. Like, I don't really remember just discussing you starting streaming or anything. I just kind of remember you doing it. Like, did we even talk about it before you started? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
You just kind of jumped into it.
yeah, I feel like you just started doing it. I mean,
Do you
we might have
remember-
talked about it, but I don't remember.
Do you remember how long we had been together before I started streaming?
I mean, a while. You haven't been streaming for that long, have you?
Off and on for like 4 years.
Well, yeah, we've been together a lot longer than that. So we've been together since 2008. So that's
12 years later.
yeah,
A long time.
But yeah, I don't really remember an initial conversation. I mean, I just remember you streaming and then enjoying it.
So you're saying he didn't ask for permission? Just kind of jumped into it.
I guess. I really can't even. I'm trying to think if we must have talked about it, but I really don't know if we did, or if you just decided I'm gonna stream and then just started. I don't really remember.
That's fair.
Cool.
Yeah. I think for me, I don't remember the exact conversation, but I do remember when DJ said he wanted to start streaming. I was I didn't understand what Twitch was and the whole idea of it. So I was like, wait, people want to watch you play video games? That sounds super boring. Why would you want to do that? I didn't understand.
Thought it was crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. I was like, why would you?
Who's gonna watch that?
Yeah, who's gonna watch that? That sounds very boring. But I remember DJ saying it's kind of also YouTubers. You watch girls do their makeup. Guys probably think that's super boring. Who wants to watch a girl do her makeup? But you learn from that, and so it's the same concept. But I think my reaction was what? I don't remember. DJ, do you remember what my reaction was? Probably negative.
I think I don't remember exactly what happened, but I do remember it being very negative. Because
yeah.
I tried so hard to explain it to her, this isn't just me playing video games, and I think I did a poor job of explaining it back when I first started streaming or wanted to start, because I think I should have explained it more as being a live content creator, not like YouTube, where you create content and then people absorb it. It's
Right.
live. People come in here and we're here. We're not pre-recorded. And I think that's where my biggest mistake was in explaining it. I mean, if
Yeah,
you just
so-
say we're playing video games, and then that does sound lame.
Mhm.
How long had you guys been together before you started streaming?
Well,
Forever.
We've been together 11 years, and out of the 11, we've been married 3. So I think you started streaming like a little bit after we got married, right?
Yeah,
Like a year after. So maybe you've been streaming what, 2 years?
yeah, like 2 years,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like 2
just
years.
about, if not a
Yeah,
little more.
a year after like our marriage, I think you started streaming.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So, how long did it take for both of you before you? Okay, actually, I don't want to jump ahead in the timeline. So, when DJ first started investing a lot of time into streaming, and same for Emily, whenever I invested a lot of time into streaming, did it bother you at first, like that we were spending so much time with the hobby? That I mean, clearly when we're doing this, there isn't a lot of time. We don't really want to be bothered, so we're basically just doing our own shit for a while.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think totally. It bothered me because we both have full-time jobs, and we don't work from home at that time. Like, we aren't together. So he works, sometimes 10 hours, and I work my 8. And when he would come home, he'd eat really quickly, eat dinner, and then just leave and bounce. And so he was spending a lot of time in the office, and when you're streaming, I can't go up and interrupt him like right away and ask him a question. And so I think I was getting frustrated, because it's like, if I had to ask him something or tell him something, he'd be like, hold on, wait, babe. And he'd be like, and I'm like, I need to ask you something, like, just stop playing video games. It's not that hard. Like, that was my mindset, and I didn't realize it. But yeah, it was making me angry, because I feel like I wasn't really getting to talk to him a lot. And it was just like video games over his wife. And so it was very like, initially I was kind of getting really angry about it. So yeah.
And then
What about you, for Emily?
Yeah, no, I think the part for me that it was a big adjustment was when you went from like doing it more casually to being more serious about streaming. When you initially did that, like, you didn't have a schedule at first of what days. Like, now you have a set schedule. I know on Mondays and Wednesdays and Saturdays you're gonna stream, and Saturdays your podcast, and like, I know the schedule now. But initially you didn't have one, and so there'd be times where like I would just miss you, like, after I'm like, what, like, are we gonna hang out ever, like, because like you said, we both have full-time jobs too, and then you're just streaming. So anytime we do get together, and even for a while we've only had one day off together, right? So like, if you're streaming on one of those days, then it's like we only get one day together. And then if you're streaming on the day off, I never knew when it was going to happen. And I think that was like the biggest frustration, was just not knowing when. And so I think it did talk about it eventually. I was like, can you at least like give me a heads up, like, if you're going to stream tonight, like, tell me that day, because then I can prepare. But I know we talked, because I have to like mentally, I'm the kind of person, I have to mentally prepare for anything. So like, if Shane had just told me today, like, hey, you want to be on the podcast, I would be like, I am not mentally prepared, no. But like, you had to tell me in advance. If you ask if I want to go out somewhere, I'm like, I have to mentally prepare, or have company over. I mean, not right now, but on Corona, have company. Like, I have to mentally prepare for those things. So I'm just like, give me a heads up, because if I can mentally prepare that you're going to be unavailable, then like, at least I'll be better about it. And then if it goes too long to where we feel like we're just not spending enough time together, then we just learned to like communicate that to each other, to be like, hey, you've been streaming a lot, and like, we need a date night or something. We just need a night, even if we're just do nothing of importance, like just sit on the couch and watch TV and just cuddle together. Like, we just need to spend some time together. And you were pretty good about still taking that time to like make sure we still had our time together. But yeah, the biggest part for me was just like not knowing when you were going to stream and not having a schedule. And so when you would stream, I'd be like, oh, because then I would try to go up and talk to you or ask questions, and you're like, what? Yeah, you're like,
talk to the hand.
that didn't happen. So DJ, you've listed off a few times about things that you think are really important for a new streamer to focus on, and scheduling is one of those things that you always talk about. but I don't think that we've ever really talked about the fact that scheduling is important because of these two. You know,
Yeah.
like, so like just another, you know, reason to listen to DJ whenever he talks about the fact that scheduling is important, guys. It's not
Very
just
important.
for viewers. It's important for you. It's important for your own mental health, and it's definitely, if you have a relationship, it's definitely going to be key to that as well.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it like if it's another job, basically, like you're looking at it like this is like a second part-time job or something that you're doing. I don't know how many hours you put into it, if it would be considered part-time or full-time, but you're like, if this is like another job, then my light's changing, I'm sorry. If it's like another job, then you know, you would have a schedule. I would know what your schedule is. But like if you're just doing it all the time and you don't have a schedule, and I feel like it's not good for your mental health and for ours.
Totally. I definitely agree with everything you're saying. I think I felt better once DJ created that schedule because just like Tiffany was saying, like I knew the days he was going to stream. And also I think it was important too, because like when he's streaming, that's my alone time too. So I'm like, oh, I like it. I know like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, I can watch the shows I want to watch on TV, and he doesn't care about, like, he doesn't want to watch reality TV or whatever HGTV that I like to watch. And so it's like, I love that because we've tried when we would spend time together and watch TV, and he would watch the shows that I love. He would be like, "What's happening? Why is she saying that?" And I'm like, "Shut up! Let me just watch my show." So to me, also the schedule is really nice, so I can spend that alone time that I want to. So.
Yeah,
that's hella funny that you bring that up. Yeah, because like she would complain so much about, hey, we need some more time, and I would try to spend time by watching her shows, but it just wasn't working because I mean I didn't understand the show and I don't like to watch that kind of stuff. And
Right.
she would just get annoyed, so it wasn't working out.
For good reason.
Yeah, for good reason.
Nothing wrong with wanting to watch trash TV as long as you know that it's trash TV.
Right? You just have to accept it.
So I think, you know, that's probably one of the biggest pitfalls with streaming in a relationship or just gaming or hobbies in general, is that typically people don't have schedules. The flip side of that, right? Furramily has hobbies too. She also does YouTubing and vlogging and does art creation. Guess who has no schedule?
I don't. Not bad.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Oh yeah. See, DJ, you were only worried on this side. No, but communication is always really important, and everybody in a relationship knows that communication is important. Everybody that's in streaming knows that schedules are important. But until you really start to break things down, it's not always in your face as to why those things are important or how they actually make a difference bigger than you're thinking. So I know that I know that the majority of people, not to call either one of you out, but that the majority of people who are in a relationship with a streamer typically look at it as you're playing games, and you know, you can add on a camera if you want, but at the end of the day, you're still playing games. At what point did the two of you like realize, or did it click that this was like it had the ability to eventually become a legitimate business for us, and that it's not just playing games?
Yeah, I think for me, the moment that it clicked, or the moment that I realized, oh, hey, this can go somewhere, is honestly when DJ started streaming with X and you guys partnered up. That's when I was like, okay, I see potential in this. And you know how you guys have evolved and have this podcast now. Like I'm seeing it more and more as you guys have gotten together. But prior to that, I was just like, you're just playing video games. And you know what I mean? That was my mindset. I'm like, but I don't know what it was that when he partnered up with you and all the things that you guys have been working on together, it really clicked. And I was like, yeah, I totally see this going somewhere. So that's when it clicked for me.
Yeah, and I think it also helped that I also did bring up a lot of points to Claw, that how this can lead to a business, not just us playing video games and trying to go viral somehow. Like I broke it down, like this is what we have planned and this is what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to happen. in a month, in 6 months, or a year, but it's gonna happen sooner or later. And I think that's what kind of opened her eyes to the whole business side of it.
Yeah, totally. But also, I think just like having a different perspective other than yours, DJ, was also to me like, oh, X has some great ideas that maybe you wouldn't have come up with. So I just feel like there's more
Definitely.
potential when you put both of you together for it to be really successful. That's, in my opinion, what I thought too.
I agree.
Makes sense. What about you, Furramily?
Yeah, I mean, I've always known the potential, like from even when you started streaming, like because I know that there are like famous streamers and stuff, like just like there are famous YouTubers, like people get big, but I also know like that like if you're counting on going viral or something like that, like that's just a really unlikely thing. You have to build a good following and like treat it like a business basically. So I've always known that there was a potential, but I feel like you were more casual in the beginning, like initially. But once I mean, you basically told me when you were gonna like, hey, I want to actually focus on this more and like, see where it can go. And so, and we talked about it, and you basically told me that, and when you said that, I was like, all right, cool, like, yeah. And but I think that's also when you got into more. When you did that was when you got more with your schedule and you started treating it more like a business, because when you were just casual before, that was, I feel like, more just chaotic, but it seemed more like just a hobby, and then it went from a hobby to being a business.
So guys, the main point to take away is communication.
So DJ, I know that you do a good job of communicating the business strategy behind what it is we're doing, and I think that's really essential, not just in communicating that to your partners, but in like communicating that with yourself, understanding, thinking through the business side of things. And if you want to take this from being a hobby to being, whether you're semi-professional or professional with it, that's something that has to be considered. And if you're only doing this as a hobby and you're in a relationship, you should probably really consider how much time or how much friction you're going to allow your hobby to cause your relationship. If you're willing to take this from being a hobby to that next level, then understanding that's a key piece to communicating to your significant other to ensure that you're both on the same page, or however many of you are involved.
Sometimes even yourself. Like
Sure.
if you haven't sat down and just thought about what you want to do with your hobby and how far you want to take it, I think that's a big factor to consider as well.
And if you're still struggling, apparently you can call me, have me help you, and then your significant other will feel better about what's going on.
Hey, I'm a weird one, okay?
X is a miracle worker.
Realistically, that makes sense though, Claude, because a lot of people, as much as we want to say that we have trust and faith and, support our significant others in their endeavors, oftentimes when somebody's talking about wanting to start a business, no matter what that business is, like there's a change that happens in people's perception when it goes from them doing it by themselves to them doing it with a partner. Like, I think that it's just because the majority of people view commitment as like a commitment that extends outside of yourself. And so when you're extending that commitment to somebody else, people take it more seriously.
Totally.
So I'd say that's two big pieces. DJ, what else do you think is worthwhile for people to consider about having, whether it be a hobby or a profession in content creation while still having significant others?
Well, I think one of the ideas I also had was, or in trying to like, not necessarily fix, but help aid in the problem that we had with me streaming, was I was trying to get Claude to join me on this journey that I have enjoyed from the beginning. And it I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard to try to get her to understand that, you can also join me and we can do this together and succeed together. but I don't know if she was just maybe being hard-headed or didn't at that time didn't fully understand, because I mean she's kind of on board right now, maybe not 100%, but it's getting there. We're about 50-50 right now, maybe.
So
I don't know how you feel about that, Kalon.
Like, so what's something that you did to try and get her on board?
God, good question. I mean,
I know what comes to mind for me. You tricked her into streaming on Fridays.
It wasn't a trick. No, it was not a trick.
I know it wasn't a trick.
It was laid out. It was laid out and explained. You can help me either by maybe being a moderator, just being a part of it without actually being in front of the camera. And I don't think she fully understood what being a moderator was, which a lot of people really don't, because it's not an easy job to do. And I also gave her the option of giving her own stream day, and she can stream whatever she wants, play whatever she wants, and talk about whatever she wants to talk about. And I think she felt a little bit more comfortable with that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think initially when before you had schedule and everything, and you were like, we weren't spending a lot of time together. You're like, well, you could be my moderator. You can do, and I'm like, first of all, I don't understand PUBG, any of the shooter game stuff. Like, I don't get it. It's boring to me. And so I'm like, why would I want to spend my time watching you play video games and shooting and answering whatever to your friends? And so I was like, no, I didn't like the idea of it. I'm like, that sounds boring to me. And I think that was the way DJ was always trying to get me to join, is like only playing the games that he wanted to play. I'm like, he's like, just try it. And I'm like, I don't care for shooter games. Like, it's boring to me. I find it very difficult. And so when DJ was like, you can do your own thing. And, I think also too, after your guys' podcast, your first podcast, was it the booby streamers one? Like, I just was like, you know what? Let me just try it. Not to be a booby streamer. Okay?
That's when it clicked. She was like,
That's when it clicked. I was like, No, but you guys had some really great points about, like, women pulling in more viewers and stuff like that. And so I was like, let me join and try a Friday night and see how I can help DJ grow his business here. And so that's kind of how it started. And I've been doing my own little games, which I'm learning every time I'm playing a different game. I'm like, oh, I didn't like that game. That game wasn't fun. And so I'm still learning. I mean, I've only done this a couple times, so I'm still finding what kind of games I want to play or what I want to do on my nights.
Well, you look good doing it, and you always look like you're having fun. You do a good job of engaging everybody. I hadn't actually thought about this in a bit, DJ, not until she brought it up. But with your increase in viewers, although the retention isn't as strong there, I wonder how much of it is from playing community-based games versus how much of it is because it's Claw playing community-based games.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting, and it's hard to tell. Because
it really is.
Community games are very engaging as opposed to like us playing PUBG, where it's just us and people watch and talk to us. I mean, community games are powerful, but then again, what's heavier? Booby streamer or a community game?
How many
it's hard to
successful community gamers do you know of?
Not many.
None.
Not many.
not many, right? But I hadn't thought about it. And either way, it doesn't really matter.
So
it's all about having a good time in the moment. But it is really interesting,
No, definitely.
For myself and Furramily, like this is my hobby. If she ever has interest in joining, like, I think that the podcast is a great way for her and I to do this. But a big piece of why I wouldn't want to have something with both of us on a regular basis is because she also has her hobbies going on. And even when she tried to get back into playing games and wanting to do a stream like once a week, the way you are, setting aside that time definitely didn't end up happening.
Do you know how many streams I did on my channel?
Was it one?
What?
Yeah.
You were at work. I was like, I have time. I'll stream for a few hours by myself. I was so frustrated. Like, I'm like, I do technical stuff for work all the time. I didn't want to do all the technical crap for figuring out the stream and figuring out the audio and figuring out why it was glitching, and then people couldn't hear me on the stream, and I'm like trying to troubleshoot it, and you were trying to help me, but you're at work, and I was like, And then you're like, you look mad. Just calm down, because I was still streaming and I looked mad. I'm like, because I am mad. I don't like I just wanted to play some freaking games. And I was just
I remember
so
that stream.
crap, and I hated it. Like and I'm like, no. See, if you like set up everything for me and I jumped on yours every once in a while, like I wouldn't do it every week, but like every once in a while I might do that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But you'd have to like set it up for me and then just be like, here's your games, and I'd be like, okay, let me play. Like, but I don't want to do the technical stuff. I thought it might be fun, and then once I got into doing it, I'm like, no. Like I had fun making the little like animated things for to put in Streamlabs, right?
Mhm.
I had fun making that, but then like when it came time to actually, and if I had to troubleshoot audio or anything, I'm like, I hate this. I want to give up. Like 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, I want to quit.
So you guys are aware that being a streamer is not easy,
Oh,
and it's not all fun and games.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That is something I do think is also an important element, is helping your significant other understand that this isn't, it's not easy. It's not easy getting it set up. It's not easy keeping it going. It's not easy prepping for these podcasts. Like there's so much that goes into it, and each element brings a new level of frustration. And then by the time we actually are live and we're comfortable and we're playing games, like even then, that's not the same as playing a game when the cameras are off and you're not dealing with all of the other stuff. Like
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong. Like I don't want to give the impression at all that like this feels like a job, but it's definitely a fucking job.
Yeah, most
It
definitely.
really is.
There's been times where like you're like trying to figure something out before your stream or whatever, or something's not working right, and you're just like going back from your computer to the streaming computer, and you're like, oh, trying to figure this out, and you seem so frustrated, and I'm always like, oh, that sucks. But then like after, like I'm just like, I feel empathy for you, but I'm like, I don't really know. But then after me trying to just like do it that one time, I'm like, well, now I get it, like, because you would seem so frustrated and I'd be more chill, like, oh, that sucks. But now I'm like, oh, well, yeah. So now
You need a hand, X?
yeah. But not that I'm much help, but now that I've done it just once, like I just know the frustration. So when you are like trying to troubleshoot something and it's not working right and you're trying to figure it out, you're like hopping back and forth, I'm like, oof.
Yeah, no joke.
I feel it. I just leave you alone.
Yeah,
like I'm not gonna be help here, so
it's a lot to deal with at times, and then those frustrations, like if you guys aren't aware of the frustrations we deal with, then just like any other job, it's really easy to carry that back into the house, right? Where those frustrations can bleed over into our relationships, except we're in our fucking house, so we don't even get to drive home to like de-stress.
Yeah.
It can be rough. So I would say that it's worthwhile, guys, to even if your significant others don't have an interest in streaming, maybe having them sit down with you one night from start to finish, and showing them, this is the amount of work that goes into it. This is what I do. This is what I deal with. This is why I get frustrated. So, it's weird. It's almost like the communication piece is just really important. But
No,
like,
definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. These are so important parts of what you should be communicating, helping each other understand. Tough. Not easy.
It's definitely not.
So this is something that DJ and I didn't discuss ahead of time, so I know that neither of you have had a chance to think about this. But what is something that you, other than the points already discussed, right? I mean, you could easily come back and say you should have done this earlier. What's something else we could have done to help you understand that this is important to us and that this is more than a hobby?
That's a great question.
that is a good question.
Let's see. Because DJ made lots of mistakes at the beginning. Oh,
I still think, honestly, the scheduling is a big one.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Just because with that schedule, I had that peace of mind, like, oh, I am actually going to spend time with him tonight and talk with DJ. I felt like there was a change once we figured out that schedule, because before he was kind of like UX, he was just like doing it casually and it was like every day. And so it was like, well, when am I going to spend time with you? And he wasn't coming, like sometimes even like just if he'll stop streaming, like, at 10 and we had like 30 minutes before we went to bed, that would have been nice, but he wasn't doing that. So that now that he has that schedule, it's definitely, I think, changed for me and our relationship. I'm trying to think of what else he could have done.
Do y'all schedule time together?
Yeah, I mean, we try to. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Sundays is like our days that we try to hang out. I know and it's totally fine too. That on Tuesdays, Thursdays, he'll jump on his computer and he's working on editing your podcast or whatever it is. Totally fine. I have stuff that I'm doing after work that he doesn't want to go walk Kashi with me, so I
Or
go
she's
walk
watching
Kashi.
the Kardashians or El Chapo or something like that.
Narcos.
Narcos.
Yeah, and so that's totally fine as long as like at the end of the day on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, like we spend some time together. And so we've been doing that, and that's been helpful too.
What do you think, Furramily? What could we have done differently to make it easier in the beginning, or even now, or now?
I'm trying to think of something that like hasn't already been mentioned, because of course the things to make it easier, like the scheduling earlier on, like she said, or even showing like what all goes into setting up a stream, and like what you were just talking about, even that, I think knowing that stuff earlier on would have even helped. Just to understand that like when you're in the zone and when you're concentrating or when you're trying to fix something, like if you seem frustrated, like to understand what you're going through better, I feel like if you had walked through that. And I don't know, but I can't think of anything really different than that. Like I'm sure there's something, but
That's a good point that you mentioned that, because I think Cloth kind of fully understood after her first stream. I think I remember you telling me like, man, this is a lot of work.
I did.
It just finally like clicked, like, oh my god, this is a lot that you're doing.
yeah.
Because before that, I don't think she fully understood, even if I was explaining it to her.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to do it.
Tell your significant other, like, just do one stream, like do it yourself, and then so you can see what it's about, and then you realize like, oh crap.
Like, holy shit.
Do you guys know who Ken Block is?
Mm-mm.
No? DJ, do you know? He's one of the most successful and famous like drift racers there are. He's from America. I think he's
Amazing.
Probably one of like the top 2. Most people are going to say the number 1, but easily he should be in anybody's top 3 to top 5 list of professional drift racers in the States. You've never seen the Gymkhana videos?
Now that you bring it up, I think you even sent me a link.
I'm pretty sure where he drives the really badass Ford. I think his is a Ford Fiesta most of the time.
Yeah, I think
he
so.
goes through this really cool obstacle course. Like there's a video where he's driving underneath a lowrider that is on hydraulics. Yeah, and so he slides under it as it comes up, and then it comes back down. So he has
several times.
Yeah. He has a 13-year-old daughter. Well, I don't know how old she is now, but I think recently she was 13-ish. And she was wanting to get into the sport. And so he took her out to the track. And I think it was one of the first times he was on the track with her, right?
Yeah,
you remember?
He posted a video. It was, he was teaching her how to drive that car.
And she did pretty good. And so she's out there and he's teaching her and she's getting really frustrated, because like she's learning to drive stick. She's having to work the gigantic handbrake and he's trying to teach her how to go into it. And then she starts getting it. But at some point there was this moment between him and his daughter where she said, now I realize how good you actually are at what you do. And he was like, oh, that's all it took to, like, you finally understand. He's like one of the best in the world. And, like she knew her dad was good.
Yeah.
But she didn't understand what he was actually good at. And so now, like, I know that both of you actually understand what it is that makes us good at what we do. The difficulties that go along with getting a stream up and running, choosing what games you're going to enjoy and your audience is also going to enjoy, building that engagement with your audience, while still focusing on what you're doing, all of the small technical aspects, the engagement aspects, and I know both of you appreciate that on a different level versus somebody couple of years ago who was just like, oh, y'all are fucking around playing games in front of a camera and trying to call it something.
Right?
Totally. X, your story reminds me too of when DJ tried to get me to kind of teach me a little bit about how to use the turntables. And like, do you remember you were trying to teach me like about beats and like, I don't know, what were you trying to teach me to switch to the next song? Like when to like switch
BPMs
over?
And when to
BPMs. Yes. And I remember him teaching him and he's like, do you hear this? This is when you're supposed to do this. I didn't hear anything. And I was getting frustrated. And I then like, it hit me too. Like, man, this is really hard. And he does this so seamlessly and so smoothly. And so I was like, man, I have respect for him now when he DJs, because I tried doing it and I was just like, I still don't understand it. Yeah. So I guess that's all it takes. Learn from that, DJ. So if you want me to do something, just make me try it once and then I'll respect you for it.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard to get her to do it in the first place.
Yeah, I'm very hard-headed.
And that's something that as Furramily has gotten into different hobbies, I've always tried to not only show her support, saying things like, oh no, yeah, go spend time doing that while I go play games, or saying, no, I don't mind you spending money. These are the things that people think of when they say support. Allowing somebody to use their time, allowing somebody to use their funds to buy it, but realistically, like taking the time to understand what your significant other is doing, understanding what all goes into her idea creation for the vlogs, how she starts putting the footage together, how she goes through her editing process, the difficulties in that, which clearly I understand too, because we do all of the same stuff. Showing genuine support and helping the other person actually understand what you're going through. It makes sense. And I hope that's something that other people actually consider doing. I really think that trying to get your significant other involved, not permanently, don't try and do everything you ever do together jointly, but setting aside one day and actually walking them through it, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, I had never considered that with Furramily, because she already understands most of this stuff from vlogging or from content creation on her end, but still getting her to go through the stream, and honestly, for the two of us, her doing it while I was at work probably ended up being a lot more beneficial. I don't recommend that shit to the majority of people. Okay, like don't. You're just gonna piss them off. Yeah. But for her, where she already understood a large portion, and then going through those struggles, being live whenever it happened, and being like, this is dumb.
Mm-hmm. No, it's too much. It's honestly too much, because like if I were to just leave Claw on her own on Fridays, I guarantee she'd be lost within like the first 10 minutes.
She'd be done.
Yeah, she'd be done. She would probably turned off, walked away. I can't do this because I can't fix the audio.
It's cute that you think she would turn it off. I don't even think she would turn it off.
I think probably not.
Bye, guys. But it's so true. Even when he walks away to go to the kitchen and like somebody tells me, I can't hear you, or I don't know, and I'm like, or Ice Wolf will be like, Claw, you have to do this. So I'm very thankful whenever like Ice Wolf's in my stream, because he will tell me if he walks away like what to do, because I don't know how to do anything. I don't understand a lot of the lingo, or like when I see stuff in the chat, I still don't understand some of the stuff what they mean. And DJ's like, you have to say thank you. These people followed. I'm like, oh, okay. Or these people, I don't know what biddies are. He's told me so many times, but I'm trying to learn.
I think it's a little harder when you don't know anything. Like, you're starting from zero, and obviously, I mean, Clyda has never really been into the whole streamer world before, and everything is very new to her. So I don't think it's a good idea for somebody to just or try to pull somebody in like that. It's just not smart.
And Claudia, you don't really play games or anything, do you? Outside of this?
Not really. Every now and then, like Mario Kart. I'm very like old school Nintendo stuff, but not that often. So
I think for me, it at least helped that Furramily used to play games quite a bit. Like when we first got together, she was spending the majority of her time playing games. She encouraged me to switch and actually start playing games on PC whenever I used to only play console back then.
I didn't know that.
She did.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Yeah. We
Yo,
have to
you.
thank Tiffany for you streaming then.
Yeah, I actually like I had avoided playing World of Warcraft for so long, and then she
Damn.
was like, "Oh, I started downloading it for you."
That's crazy.
I loved that game.
What other games did you play like religiously back then?
So I would play Mario, Donkey Kong. What else would we play? I used to when I was younger. My cousin had PlayStation. I'd play Grand Theft Auto. Really weird, right? It doesn't seem like something I'd play. Yeah, I thought it was fun. I liked going and exploring.
What was that one
and-
game you said you really liked? That warrior game where what's it called?
Oh my god, what's it called? I always forget it.
And that
I'm
wasn't
not gonna
Final Fantasy.
remember.
No, it's not Final Fantasy.
It was like Final Fantasy type of thing. I used to play with my cousin all the time, and I mean, I used to play The Sims too on computer, and stuff like that. Yeah, very basic, boring games, I guess. To some
90s
people.
game.
that's
90s games.
Some, but whatever. And what about you, Furramily?
Yeah, well, on the PC, I really just played World of Warcraft. I know for like on the Xbox, I played a lot of Need for Speed and Burnout, but that was really like it,
Damn.
other than mobile games. But yeah,
Mhm.
I've never been like into first-person shooter games or anything. Like, well, we did play Halo for a while. We used to have like LAN parties and we would play, but I was terrible at it. I just played because it was fun being like in a group setting and playing. But yeah, so I mean, I only did that in like a social. It was like a social drinker. I was like a social Halo player.
Sure.
But I was terrible, so I just liked talking shit to people when I was playing, and then if I happened to kill somebody, I would just talk even more shit because I'm like, you got killed by a girl and the worst player, like ha.
That's
But I've
funny.
never been good at those. So but yeah, that was really it. And I think World of Warcraft was really like the only PC. I mean, other than like playing some puzzle games and stuff like Peggle, but we
Peggle.
even started playing Peggle in World of
Peggle's
Warcraft.
so much fun.
What is Peggle?
I'll show you later. It's such a fun game, though. It really is.
Yeah, I played that on when I did my stream. I think I played a little bit of Peggle and I played Plants vs Zombies. I played like old games that I played at one point, but yeah,
Yep.
just those kind of games.
So, I think that. Well, actually, I guess before I wrap it up, is there anything else that you guys wanted to discuss right now?
Ladies.
I don't know.
No,
I think we
No.
talked about a lot of important, like really good points. So
I think so too.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to really have to say. Like,
DJ?
Anything you guys want to recommend to maybe like the women that are watching? Or men. I mean,
yeah, I mean, well, like it's nothing new. What we
or
already
something
said,
to
like,
take away from all of this.
Support your significant others.
well, and not just support, like because even when you were talking about you show me support, you don't only show me like support with the hobbies and things that I want to do, even if I don't stick with them, but like you encourage me. You're not just supportive, you're like actually encouraging. So like even when I would do my YouTube videos and then I'm really bad at keeping a schedule for that. I did try to keep a schedule and like upload every Monday or whatever, and I'm like, no, that's not me. But I'm looking at it more like a hobby than a business, and so I'm like, it can't be a business for me. I'm just not that dedicated to it,
Yeah.
to making it like every week. But you still encourage. You're like, hey, like you should do this, or maybe you could do this for a video. Like you're not only supportive, you're encouraging too. So I try to do the same thing for you. Hopefully I do. But yeah, that's
I think
Yeah.
that's
You're here.
important. I think that's important because, like she was saying about support, Claudia just recently started her, what would you call it, boho chick?
Oh, my
Her
my Instagram page. I just started a public Instagram page to post like fashion, decor.
DJ's trying to make it sound good, and you're like, it's an Instagram page.
It is. I
Well,
mean, I'm not trying to hype it up, but
well, that's my point. Like, she presented it as like her little hobby thing, and my way of like trying to support her was, it can also be a lot more than just your hobby thing, because it has a lot of potential to grow as a business as well. So I'm just trying to get her to understand that there's a road you can take with that, and
Totally.
it's your,
So what is
like, it's your decision.
link her Instagram below.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll put her in. I'll put my Instagram in there. Yeah, but it's just like about my fashion style, decor, and thrifting and stuff like that. But I will say another advice thing that I was thinking is just keep an open mind. Like for me, I am very like negative. I like to be very safe. I don't like to take risks. And DJ shaking his head because he knows, and DJ's so much like, let's take risks, let's do this.
Opposite.
A total opposite. I'm always like, take the safe road. And so for me, a piece of advice is just have an open mind. Like I should have had more of an open mind from the beginning when DJ came to me with this whole idea of streaming, because I remember there was lots of times where I was just like, no, this isn't right. Why are you doing this? You're spending, the amount of money you spent on your PC to get it to where it is was very frustrating because I didn't understand the point of why are you upgrading? And
Does
then
she
I always
know?
tell,
Do you-
do I
She
know how
know
much?
why?
Do you know like how much is actually in his PC?
I don't want to know. You're gonna make me angry.
it's
But
it's not
with
enough.
all
That's all that matters.
That's
with all
true.
that
It's
being,
not enough.
yeah. But so that's the other thing. It's like he was constantly buying all these things for his PC to make it better, and I didn't understand why. And I'm like, it's fine the way it is. You can stream. I see you. Your camera's working. Like, what's the point? And I'm like, I bet you, like in 2 months, you're gonna buy something new because you say you need it to upgrade because this isn't working anymore. And so I was just getting really frustrated with him. And so I think that's a reminder for myself is keep an open mind because this could be something big. This could be something great. And so I think that's another thing. If your significant other and you're not agreeing, if they're streaming your significant other and you don't agree with it, just keep an open mind because it might be something great. It might turn into a business that you didn't think about. And fingers crossed, one day you two can just stream full time and not have another job, right? That's the goal.
That is the goal. It would
So
be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I think I tried explaining it to her the same way I explained my DJ business. Like every piece of equipment that I buy is not because I want it because it looks cool. Like it's gonna help me either bring more money or draw more attention, which is all positive. The only negative was wasting the money itself.
It's not wasting.
No, it's investing.
I knew that we had a lot of similarities. I didn't realize that you two had as many similarities. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I already know Furramily's response. We'll talk about it in a minute, but because not everybody else knows. But if the four of us were at a casino together, okay, whatever casino, and DJ said you two are hanging out together, and we are hanging out together, and you hear DJ say, "Hey, man, I want to put $500 down on a hand of blackjack."
I almost have sometimes.
Did your heart rate just go up a little bit, Claw? Yeah.
You know what I always tell him? Okay, a funny story about this $500. I once got $100 from a friend. He said, "Here's $100, Claudia. Go." And we were at a casino. He says, "Go spend it." How much did I spend, DJ? I don't think I spent my 100.
You spent like $20 at the most.
$20, and I was like, I'm pocketing the $80. You know how much stuff I could buy with $80 or what bills I could pay? So I would be upset if he spent $500 on a deck on blackjack or whatever he was.
In one hand.
No. In one hand, yeah. No, that makes me. I'm already sweating just because you said that.
I agree. I go put $20 in the slot machine, play for like an hour or two if you're lucky, and then keep the 80. Feel like I'll buy myself some pretty later.
You guys are very similar.
They really are.
Yeah.
When Claw was saying that she's not a risk taker and that you are, like, I could just see like to what level, and I was like, you two have a lot of similarities, and which means that y'all deal with very similar things because DJ and I are similar. That I don't like taking unnecessary. Well, I don't always like taking unnecessary risks, but
yeah.
Typically my risks are calculated, and I never mind taking risks though.
You're educated.
And I know that Furramily's heart rate will go up, and that she gets nervous, and she doesn't look at things the same way I do. So, communication.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're up. Why are you putting more back in the pot? Put it in your pocket. You're winning. No, I'm gonna spend half of this. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You're just gonna lose it.
Well, so what I think, guys, from this point forward, I think that we've covered a lot of really good topics, some things that that I definitely wanted to get out there. Hopefully other people find benefit in it. And if they don't find benefit, hopefully you guys at least found the conversation entertaining. So I think if you have topics that you would like to hear us discuss specifically with Claw and Furramily, whether it relates to what we've already been discussing or something else, drop that in the comments below. Let us know, and we would be more than happy to have both of you back on again, whether it's relating to this conversation or another. I don't see a point in trying to force out the ideas. I have a feeling that somebody else is going to say, hey, this is something I struggle with, or I have struggled with. I would like to hear y'all's take on it, and then maybe we could do a round 2 of this a little bit later down the road.
Do you like
Exactly.
a Q&A style? Answer their questions.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be really fun.
That'd be
Definitely.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do a Q&A, just even relationship stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be related to
To gaming.
gaming.
streaming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd be down.
us
Absolutely down for that.
we've been in a relationship. Like you guys have been together for what, 12 years? We've been together, something like that, for
Yeah.
11 years. So we have some experience about that.
True.
A lot.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
DJ.
Well, guys, for those of you that aren't watching this on Twitch over here live, you can go ahead and throw that thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We will catch you guys next week with episode 16. I'm not messing that up, 16. Do we have any guests for next week?
No. Next week it'll be you and Knight.
You sure?
Yes. Well, actually, if you're trying to catch it live, next week will be a toss-up. We may end up having a bye week. We may end up skipping next week to get caught up on things, just depending on
Some factors.
Some factors. we have GG. Thanks so much for the bits, man. But we have some big things coming up soon. We don't want to go too much into that right now. Furramily doesn't even know what I'm talking about yet. I don't know. Does Claw? No.
No.
I was gonna say maybe.
You talk business to the women. Come on, man.
If you caught last week's podcast live, which hasn't been posted yet, then it relates to that. That's about the most I'll say right now. So just depending, next week we may end up having a different style stream, and we may end up skipping 1 week of podcast. And if we do, we will definitely use that time to get caught up on pushing out some other content to YouTube.
Correct.
Big things are coming.
Stay tuned.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, guys, and we will chat with you afterwards. And for everybody else, we will see you soon.
Bye.